Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Thomas. The name Thomas comes to us from the New Testament, borne by one of Jesus' 12 apostles and one to whom Christ appeared after his resurrection. According to John 20 verse 24, now Thomas, one of the 12, called the twin, was not with them when Jesus came, but he said to them, unless I see in his hands the mark of the nails, and place my finger into the mark of the nails, and place my hand into his side, I will never believe. 8 days later, Jesus appeared directly to Thomas himself. This time, Thomas believed. However, he was henceforth referred to as Doubting Thomas since he had to be convinced of Jesus' resurrection. Who can blame the guy? It was this doubting quality that humanized the biblical character and popularized the name in Christendom. Thomas is essentially the English form of the Greek Didymus, itself taken from the Aramaic Talma, which means, quite simply, the twin, although there is no evidence that St. Thomas the Apostle was a twin himself. For the first several centuries AD, the name Thomas was used almost exclusively among priests in an act of humility, owing to Thomas's doubting incident in the Bible. The general population of Western Europeans were reintroduced to this name during the Crusades, a series of holy wars starting in the 11th century. By the 12th century, Thomas was quite popular throughout England. Bestowing names of the saints, particularly those of the apostles, became a standard naming practice among medieval Christians, often seen as a protective measure. Surely the saint would look favorably upon the child from heaven, and God would keep safe name bearers of his beloved saints. The English martyr Thomas Becket, an archbishop of Canterbury who was famously slain by a couple of King Henry II's knights on the church altar while delivering a sermon, supplied the name with additional honor in the English-speaking world. No doubt, Thomas has remained a perennial favorite among all English-speaking nations. It's currently ranked number 48 in the United States, 2016, but in Australia and Great Britain, Thomas is a top 10. Personality of the boy named Thomas. The master number 22 combines the traits of 2s and 4s into a powerful force. The references to the master builder and large undertakings serve to underscore the massive potential of this personality. They are extremely capable and therefore almost always successful. 22s are courageous leaders, innovative thinkers, extremely wise, and highly organized. As such, they are able to manifest something of major importance that will have a lasting impact on this world. Master numbers carry with them a great sense of responsibility, so it can be a burden. However, 22s are executors and action takers. Further, this personality exhibits traits of the 2s, which bring sensitivity, spirituality, and harmony, so their endeavors are likely to benefit mankind in some capacity. Popularity of the boy named Thomas. Thomas has been a constant favorite in America. The name has been ranked on the top 25 list of most commonly used boy names since 1880, the first year the U.S. government began tracking naming trends. It would take well over 100 years, 1990s, before Thomas would finally fall off the top 25 list. The name was mostly popular in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s when it was a top 10 favorite nationwide. Nonetheless, Thomas is like John and Robert, names that have stuck around at high levels of popularity for centuries. Like John and Robert, though, Thomas is experiencing backwards momentum on the American charts right now. Its loss in stature is mild, but the slow and steady downward trend seems to indicate that American parents are looking beyond traditional choices when naming their sons. For parents that appreciate time-tested tradition, however, Thomas remains a great choice. Tommy is cute for the little guy, Tom is strong and no-nonsense for the older ones, and Thomas is elegant and confident all by himself. We would also consider this a great name if your little baby boy happens to be a twin, or even a Gemini for that matter. Quick facts on Thomas. Gender, boy. Origin, English. Number of syllables, 2. Ranking popularity, 61. Pronunciation, TAHMS. Simple meaning, the twin. Characteristics of Thomas. The master builder, large undertakings, organization, leader, discipline, confidence. Cultural references to the baby name, Thomas. Literary characters of the baby name Thomas. Popular songs on Thomas. Thomas, a song by Hank Snow, a song by The Gathering Field, Doubting Thomas, a song by Wiseau, Dylan Thomas Days, a song by Sham 69, Jeffrey Thomas, St. Thomas, a song by Nickel Creek, a song by Peter Frampton, Hey Thomas, a song by A Perfect Circle, explicit, Keep Your Promise Willie Thomas. Famous people named Thomas. Thomas Jefferson, U.S. President, Thomas Harris, author, Thomas Woodrow Wilson, U.S. President, Thomas Edison, inventor, Thomas Hardy, novelist, Thomas Mann, German novelist and Nobel laureate, Thomas A. Hanks, actor, Thomas A. Cruz, actor, Thomas Aquinas, theologian and philosopher, Thomas Pynchon, author, Thomas Hobbes, philosopher, St. Thomas Becket, Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Dolby, musician. Historic figures with the name Thomas. Olive Thomas was a beautiful young movie actress during the silent era of filmmaking and well known for her early death. Born in Pennsylvania to an Irish family of modest means, Olive moved to New York City when she was 18. It was shortly thereafter that the young girl won a contest called a Euroweave Most Beautiful Girl in New York City Euro, which landed her a cover on the Saturday Evening Post and a position with the Ziegfeld Follies. She performed a Risqua copyright act in the A Euro Midnight Frolic a Euro show, which made her uber popular with the wealthy males in the audience. She was known for her remarkable beauty, porcelain skin and bright violet eyes framed in long dark eyelashes. The men went crazy for her and lavished her with gifts. Eventually Olive made her way into films and met and married actor Jack Pickford, brother of Mary Pickford. The two young lovers eloped and led a volatile and wild life in the fast lane of partying. In 1920, at the age of 25, Olive Thomas, mistaking the bottle for something else, accidentally swallowed poison in a French hotel room while on a second honeymoon with her husband. She tragically died a few days later and her body was brought back to New York for a jam-packed funeral ceremony. She became a poster child of her day for the fast-living consequences of successful youth. It is said her ghost still roams the New Amsterdam Theatre in New York City. One of the best-known poets of the 20th century, Dylan Thomas hailed from a seaside port in Wales. He started publishing poetry at the age of 20 and instantly received critical acclaim. As his popularity grew in Britain, he was invited to the United States for a series of readings. Thomas became legendary in the United States and gained a large following. Nevertheless, his last years were shadowed by an increasingly tragic view of his own darkly tempestuous life. After a particularly long alcohol binge, Thomas died in New York in 1953. He was only 39 years old. Although his life was short, Thomas made a deep impression and his poems are immortal. The last two lines of Dylan Thomas a Euro most famous poem A Euroedo, not go gentle into that good night a Euro, written not long before his own death, read, do not go gentle into that good night. /rage, rage against the dying of the light. One of the best-known poets of the 20th century, Dylan Thomas hailed from a seaside port in Wales. He started publishing poetry at the age of 20 and instantly received critical acclaim. As his popularity grew in Britain, he was invited to the United States for a series of readings. Thomas became legendary in the United States and gained a large following. Nevertheless, his last years were shadowed by an increasingly tragic view of his own darkly tempestuous life. After a particularly long alcohol binge, Thomas died in New York in 1953. He was only 39 years old. Although his life was short, Thomas made a deep impression and his poems are immortal. The last two lines of Dylan Thomas a Euro most famous poem A Euroedo, not go gentle into that good night a Euro, written not long before his own death, read, do not go gentle into that good night /rage, rage against the dying of the light.